Welcome, 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 everybody. I'm Coach Les, and I'm here with Mr. Yarwood, and we are on 64.
Yep.
Episode number 64. And we are talking about psychological effects of martial arts training and the impact it has in the studio and outside the studio, and which incorporates home life and school life for a lot of the kids. And for the grown-ups like myself, it means at home and in the workplace. So today we're going to be talking about stress reduction and clarity, resilience and grit, identity and purpose. And last week we talked about emotional regulation, earned confidence, discipline, and self-control. So we ended up just getting through 3 of the 8 subtitles that you'll see if you're coming in and watching this as the subtitles of the group. There are 8 of them, and we're going to be dealing with number 4, 5, and 6 today. So Mr. Yarwood, do you want to start us off with stress reduction and clarity?
Yeah, and we kind of got into it a little bit last week. I think it kind of ties in with the emotional regulation stuff. I found that being able to have an outlet to relieve your daily stresses or your work stress or whatever stresses you have is a great way to be able to kind of channel it into something positive, right? We're all going to experience some kind of stress at some point, and I think what happens is we tend to allow the stress to build up, and then it leaks into other things that we're doing, and that causes stress in those things, and then it just turns into this big issue. So when you have an outlet to be able to relieve that stress somewhat, it's a positive thing. I think about and not this is necessarily. I mean, I think the first thing everybody thinks about is going and punching a bag, right? Punching something, kicking something. Yeah, that works. But if you're a martial artist like I am, sometimes going in and doing your form helps, or just training some of your moves, or there many your weapons, or sparring with somebody. All those things help to relieve that stress, because it takes your mind off of what it is that you're dealing with and allows you to focus on something that's beneficial to you, but it also helps you to relax and to kind of get through things. And sometimes it opens your mind up, and that's where the clarity piece comes in. Opens your mind up to maybe you're stressing about an idea or something at work that you're trying to get through, and you're at a barrier and you can't get around it. You go and train, get a little form work under your belt, or some technique work, or whatever it is, and suddenly your mind goes, oh, boom, right? I got an idea, right? Sometimes opening your mind up by stopping thinking about what is that's stressing you out and doing other things can kind of help you to clarify something else that's in your mind that's giving you stress. So it's not just necessarily stress relief, but sometimes it can be something that actually fixes the issue that you happen to be dealing with. And I found that to be beneficial for me. When you're having a bad day and something's, you're just struggling with something, you're thinking about something over and over again, something's in your way, some problem that you have, and just suddenly opens up different avenues of thought. Because it's kind of a ironic thing that shutting your mind off turns your mind on, right, to other things. So it's really something that's really been helpful for me, to be able to take training, whether it be, like I said, punching a bag, kicking a bag, or doing my form or whatever, and just helping with all the other stuff that's going on in my life.
For me, as many of you know that have listened or been listening, I was injured and unable to train for a while and unable to work out. And I'm just getting back, kind of starting to step back into the groove, doing some stuff here at home. Um, Try to do something every single day. And what I find is, in the time that I wasn't able to do anything and was told to relax, um, it was, I think, yeah, it would be fun to say, gosh, it was so much fun to just sit back, be a couch potato, put my feet up, but that didn't happen, right? Yes, I may have relaxed my body from working out, but I continued to do things with my mind, and definitely got more overwhelmed than I have been in a long time, stress wise, taking on too many things, um, because I didn't have the workout time being used. So I used that to take on more stuff. And the clarity that I would say I get from working out and having that space to just let my mind be free was missing, because I would be bouncing back and forth between the task list that I had in my head. When I was working out, it was given to the memorization of a form. It was given to the steps of a kick, the steps, to a punch, to a knife hand, to a block, and paying attention to the body as opposed to paying attention to pieces of paper or to numbers had its own reward. That paying attention to paper and numbers and spreadsheets and emails gets me more wrapped up. So I definitely could see the difference and can see the difference now because of bringing it back in, of that focus. My sleep is better, my energy is better. All these things that we take for granted when you're working out consistently and have been for years or decades. That's the thing that I've noticed.
Yeah, I think it helps to kind of regulate things, right? Balance things out. When you're training, like it's that outlet that kind of relieves the pressure of all the other things, and it brings things back into into order, right? If you're weighing too much on one side, right, you're out of balance in your work life, and you're doing all these things, and you're stressed out about all these things, and then you don't do enough training, right? You don't get into the gym or you don't get onto the mats. It just, the imbalance gets wider and wider, right? So having that way to go and bring that balance back, it really helps to kind of get yourself back on the path that you're traveling, that will keep you moving forward. That's not to say you're not going to have issues. We're all going to have issues, but if you have a way to, an avenue to kind of keep those things within the parameters, it's going to help so much more versus wildly going one way or the other. You're going to get lost in stuff. Think about walking. You're walking on a path in the woods, and you decide to go, I'm going to go through the woods that way, right? And you start just going and going and going. And the further you go, the more likely you are to not be able to find your way back. So you got to, having that way to kind of keep things on an even keel is so important to have in life.
And I think people oftentimes misconstrue, oh, I've got to add this workout piece in. It's just giving me more to do and I'm going to be, up against it. And I would say, at least in my case and in my example, I know that I filled that space 3 times over
Yep.
with things that did exactly what Misty Yarwood just said. You know, overwhelmed me, um, gave me more stress. I think my healing took longer than it ought to have
Yep.
from that simple fact.
Yep. Yeah. That's a big thing, because you think about, if you've been training for a while, and you stop, it takes a little while for your body to get back, right? And the recovery, if you haven't been doing it at all, it's even that much worse, right? So I think you just kind of, when you get back into it, you start to think or realize all the things that it did for you, right? Because you don't, when you're doing it, you don't really realize the effects that it's having on you, because it's a day to day thing. You're doing it over and over and over again. When you stop doing it, right, and then you get back into it, you're like, oh man, that's why I was feeling this way, because I didn't have this that was going on, right? I wasn't fixing it with this, that mounting one side against the other, right? And to be able to get back into it, and just like that alone can start to help you, the stress part, because now you're starting to go, you're starting to come to a realization of how important it really is in your life, and how much effect it has on your day to day, in your, your daily grind, or whatever it is that you're doing.
The impact, yes. Big time. I think when I look at some of the setbacks for me, now getting back into it, I was just having this conversation with my business partner, Jeff. It's like, yeah, I hurt my back and it was sore and I couldn't work out and I was told not to and I was wearing a belt, um, uh, a Velcro belt around my lower back. And the thing that he didn't mention, was when he finally said, yeah, you can start doing some exercise, but don't go crazy, was that I was going to hurt in that direction from working out.
Yeah.
So in this world of balancing things out, I still have some of the hurt from the injury, and I now have hurt from working out. And
the good kind.
The injury was up here, and working out was down here with nothing. Now they're coming into congruency.
Yep.
And I see it getting better and better, and as the workouts get more and stronger, the balance will shift. And what is there for me is to continue to have the resilience and the grit, like the determination. Yeah, I may never be free of pain. It's just, there's a good pain and there's a lazy pain, a hurt pain.
Yep. I would rather be in the kind of pain from training than from not training and having all the other, I don't know, I call them like the old man pain. It's just that day-to-day stuff. But if you're not training at all, those things get amplified, because if you're just sitting around doing nothing, if you're not really moving much, you're not active at all that stuff catches up with you. Age is going to happen regardless of what you do. It doesn't matter, right? But when you are training and in the gym and doing those things, you're going to have pain, but it's a different kind of pain, and it helps you to understand that you can work through that stuff and get through it, and make it so you don't want to quit, right? You want to keep going. Like John Cougar Mellencamp said, "Hurts so good," right? It's that pain that's like that. your body is repairing itself, right? It's going through stuff. It's almost like a reward that, oh man, I feel good because I've been training hard and my legs are sore from squatting or kicking or whatever it is. Versus my legs hurt every time I get up because I don't use them very much, and then my knee is buckled because I'm getting too fat or whatever it is, right? It's a different kind of pain.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
At this point, that's the, I've as I think about it, I've always ached at some level.
Yeah. Something somewhere hurts.
Whether it's because I pushed too hard over here, or I strained over here, or did this.
Yep.
And that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. I'll make it work, and I'm excited about what the future's bringing.
Yep. And it's also goes back to mindset again, right? The ability to fight through stuff, right? To know that you're not going to give up when it gets hard, right? Every time a problem comes up, you're not going to go, screw it, I don't feel like doing it, it's too hard, right? It's not going to be a barrier to you. It's going to be a challenge that teaches you to try and get through it, get around it, get under it, whatever you need to do, versus just letting it stop you where you are. That pain, sure, it's going to hurt, but if you allow it to stop you, it's not going to get better by not doing stuff. It's going to amplify the other way. So regardless of what you do, you're going to have pain. You might as well make it the pain that's good, not the pain that sucks.
Yeah. So excited about that. I think the other thing that I got challenged with is knowing that the people that were still at the gym and have been going, religiously since I left or since I got sidelined, is catching up to them.
Yeah.
And, that's going to be it. That is not going to be easy. And I know that I deal with the ego in that. It's frustrating.
Yep.
to see them, getting up here, and I was here, and I went this way, and they went this way.
Yep. The gap widened.
And the wrong way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge, but at the same time, you're out of something for a while. They're not gonna, when you get back into it, they're not gonna like get after you. Hey, they're gonna be there to support you. They're gonna help you get back into the groove of doing things, right? They're gonna be there for you when you return, and they're gonna cheer you on. They're gonna help push you. They're gonna do all those things. They're not gonna discourage you. They're gonna encourage you. And having a group of people like that makes it that much easier to want to keep coming back, even if even if it sucks, right? Because you're going to get back. It's going to take a while for it to not to suck because you've been gone for so long. But when you have people who are there to support you and encourage you and keep you motivated, it makes it easier to deal with the suck.
Yes, it does. That's for sure. And I think in that level, what's interesting is, I, look back and see, there was a time when I was supporting and helping and answering questions and, making a difference and catching people, not doing it the way it was meant to be done. And now the roles.
Yep. Yep.
And part of that is going to be now to see, okay, so was I good enough at that where they're excited to return the favor.
Mm-hmm.
And not that there's anything owed. It's just, to me, it becomes part of that community and the yin and yang and the ebb and flow of community.
Yep.
And I think that's something we miss in today's world.
Mm-hmm. That desire to want to help somebody who helped you along the way.
Yep.
Right. And a piece of that is the humility that it takes to get back into the role from teacher to student. Right. If you're not willing to, if you come back with an attitude like, well, I used to tell you what to do, so that's just how it is, that's where you're going to run into some issues, because now these people are like, well, you're not as far ahead as me, and I'm just trying to help you, but you're obviously not willing to accept the help, so I don't know what I can do for you, right? If you don't humble yourself and go, hey, I'm behind, you guys are awesome and would love to help. And when you open yourself up to that, it's going to be that much better for you, because you know that they're going to have your back, they're going to help you, and they're going to step in and play the role that you played for them.
And I think that's all part of the resilience and grit, right?
Yep.
Students learn to handle setbacks. They adapt and keep moving forward, even when challenges arise.
Yep.
And
that's a huge challenge, getting back and dealing with the fact that the people that you once taught are now teaching you.
It's happened a lot in my life. I can tell you that. I think I very rarely think about this. I'd probably say 2 or 3 times I've thought about this. Is I look and go, where would I be if I had continued doing karate from 1990?
Yep. Yep. I started in my first time training, I was 14, so that would have been 1985.
Yeah.
That would have been 40 years of training I'd have.
Yep.
But at the same time, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I'd be somewhere else. And I like where I am right now. So I look at it as a blessing that what happened to me back there created who I am and where I am now.
Yeah.
Had I continued in that, I wouldn't be where I am. I don't know where I'd be, but I like where I am right now.
Yeah. It's it's definitely I look and see the setbacks as I get older. I look and see some of the setbacks. I've been I'm about to refinance my mortgage, and I'm actually going to use my VA loan capabilities, and was looking at my DD 214, and which says that you've been in the military and how long and what you did while you were there. And I look and see, and I go, whoa, where would I be if I was still in that?
Mm-hmm.
That was 80, 82 to 80. Oh my goodness. 1980, 82 to 1989 in that area. And, I traveled a part of the world in that time, jumped out of airplanes. Right. And, that took, the disciplining self-control that took. Whoa. I look back and go, how did I manage that? Having people scream at you, because that was back in the day when they could still scream at you 1 inch away from your face.
See, those are the types of things that when you look back, like, there's 2 ways to look at things: with regret or with gratitude, right? If you look back with regret, it doesn't do anything for you, because you can't change what happened. You can't change the direction that you've come, right? And if you regret things, I think that adds to the other stuff, making things that much harder for you, because you're always thinking about, man, what if, what if, what if? Well, it's okay to think about those things, but if you allow it to control how you do things, you're going to have more and more regrets as you go, because you're just creating more and more problems for yourself, right? If you look back with gratitude and say, hey, if I hadn't have done this, if I hadn't have made this decision right here, good or bad, I wouldn't be where I am right now. That could be a pivotal point in your life, right? At the time, it might have sucked, but maybe that decision ultimately changed the direction for you that got you to where you are now, right? And if you look back and regret decisions that you made, it just creates all kinds of issues for you. But if you have the gratitude, you start to look at things in a different light and go, wow, now have the gratitude for where you are now. What are you doing now that's going to propel you forward to where you want to go? What decisions are you going to make? And it's so much more enlightening to have that attitude about things versus worry about all the crap you didn't do, or what if. Well, yeah, what if? You're never going to know. So what's the point?
Right. And I think for me, as I look at it, I got what I got out of it. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I can look back and see during this time I did this, and here's what I took away from it.
Right.
And that in and of itself, you know, as we go into the psychological effects, number 6 here, of identity and purpose. Training provides structure, community, and a sense of belonging that strengthens mental well-being. Well, in that time, that was what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be a part of this community doing this and achieving this result.
Mm-hmm.
And when that became bankrupt, that way of being back then, it was time to move on and find what was next.
Yep.
And not because there was anything right or wrong about where I was at, that it was just, you know what? I'm good.
Yep.
I got this out of it. I got this out of it. I got this out of it. But I see my future here.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing that and just being with that and starting to see the presence of what's possible around you, making a difference every day.
Mm-hmm.
Community coming together, spending time together.
Yep.
That whole world is, for me, something that I look, I don't communicate with any of those people from the military anymore. I don't communicate with any of those people from karate that long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the connections that I had were only at a certain level, and they were very purpose driven. Now I look and see, wow, I've got a relationship here that's more than this.
Yep.
It includes that, but it's more than, and it's more than work. It's more, there's something else that's building. And I didn't have the patience for it back then.
Yep. Yeah, I have that. There's, I look back to all the way back to when I was a kid, and the first friends that I remember really making and hanging out with, because I moved around a lot. When we finally settled, when I was in 3rd grade, I made 2 really good friends right off the bat, and they're still best friends of mine, right? But along the way, I made a lot of other friends who kind of came into my life and left my life, came into my life, left my life, right? And at the time, you think they're like your best friend and you're going to be whatever. But like you said, their purpose in my life was over, and I moved on from them, right? There was always a couple that were like, these people are more than just somebody I know, somebody I hang out with. They're people that I've had experiences with, positive and negative, that have helped shape who I am, right? And when you have those types of people in your life, those are the ones that continue to stay in your life the entire time, regardless of what happens, regardless of how long you're away from them. Don't talk to them. You go back. You know, we all have those people that you feel like you just pick up right where you left off, right? That's the type of people that are important to you, that have more than just a, you know, a surface level value in your life. And I found as I've gotten older, I start to recognize things in people that those are people that I want to be around, right? You start to, I think, have like an intuition about it because you've had so many experiences. And when you start to get around the people that you really enjoy being around, people that you can get something from, that gets something from you, that you share common bonds with, that go deeper than just a casual acquaintance. And I think that's what really kind of helps with all the other things. When you have those people in your life, it helps your life become that much easier to deal with all those stresses that you're dealing with, because you have people you can lean on, people you can rely on, who you know are going to be there for you regardless of what's going on. And when you have that, it's a huge benefit to you.
You know, it's something to me. I haven't moved a lot in my, you know, in the past 30 years. I haven't moved much, but I remember there was a time when I moved.
Mm-hmm.
I moved, you know, every couple of years, and you find out who is actually in your life to support you and be a support mechanism when you move.
Mm-hmm.
And
sometimes literally helping you move.
Yeah, exactly. And I see that and I look and I go, wow, you know, one of my friends that helped me move was himself moving to Florida the day after he helped me move. And you know, it was the last thing that we did collectively together here in the Twin Cities, was him coming over and helping me load, you know, at 8 o'clock at night. And I had said, he had called and said, how you doing? I'm super tired. You know, I'd love to, you know, I'd love it if I could just chill. He says, how many people do you have helping you move? And I said, no one. And he goes, I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yep.
Right. And between he and I, we knocked out and took the whole town home and packed it into the truck. And, you know, it was, you know, probably 1 a.m. in the morning when we got done. And he said, good night. And I said, you know, you're going to be okay. And he's like, Les, I know you've been there for me and my family. There was no way I was going to go to sleep knowing that you were here trying to get this done, because I know you. And you needed to be out of the house and working by the next morning and then at closing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you know, and that best friend of mine from high school was nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't even answer his phone. And when I spoke to him a week after that, I said, he goes, Les, I just couldn't be there to help you. I'm like, well, why don't you just answer the phone and tell me? So, you know, for me, you find a lot out when the pressure is on. Yep. And there's an intensity to it.
When you really need them. Yep.
Yeah. 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 Very interesting. Very interesting. You know, and because of that, that guy will be always one of the guys that we when we see each other, it's like the clock stopped.
Yep. Yep. Those are the good ones.
Yep. Ones that are good enough to the point where if you were in dire need, he'd hop on a plane and come and see you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we covered all three of those pretty impactfully.
Yep.
Stress reduction and clarity, resilience and grit, identity and purpose. We just hit 35 minutes. So time flies when you're
That's right.
when you're dealing with the past. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Yarwood. Once again, I think this has been invaluable for people to see some of the things about martial arts training that really does clarify, bring strength and commitment to what you're up to.
Yes, sir.
And with that,